10 signs you're burnout, not lazy. Picture someone who spends most of their time in bed, lying down and not doing much. Someone who easily gets tired and doesn't feel like doing anything. Now, while most of us would label this kind of behavior as mere laziness and nothing more, there's actually a lot of overlap between laziness and burnout that can make it difficult to differentiate between the two. A term often misused and thrown around by a lot of people, burnout is defined as a negative state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by excessive stress and an inability to cope with it. Now, with this startling rise in cases, it's become more important than ever for us to educate ourselves and better understand the nature of burnout, especially when we ourselves are at risk. We live in a competitive society that demands more and more from us every single day. In the race of being more successful, a lot of us have started neglecting the things that actually matter in life. Amidst this chaos, we often forget our health, be it mental or physical. As the years have gone by, there has been a spike in the cases of depression, anxiety, and other stress-related health problems, and most of them have work or academic stress as the root cause. Burnout is a state of chronic stress that leads to physical and emotional exhaustion, cynicism and detachment, feelings of ineffectiveness and lack of accomplishment. When in the throes of full-fledged burnout, you are no longer able to function effectively on a personal or professional level. However, burnout doesn't happen suddenly. You don't wake up one morning and all of a sudden have burnout. Its nature is much more insidious, creeping up on us over time like a slow leak, which makes it much harder to recognize. Still, our bodies and minds do give us warnings, and if you know what to look for, you can recognize it before it's too late. Burnout is one of those road hazards in life that high achievers really should keep a close eye out for. But sadly, often because of their I-can-do-everything personalities, they rarely see it coming. Because high achievers are often so passionate about what they do, they tend to ignore the fact that they're working exceptionally long hours, taking on exceedingly heavy workloads, and putting enormous pressure on themselves to excel, all of which make them ripe for burnout. The general rise of awareness for the importance of self-care and working on one's well-being and mental health has led to an increased sensitivity and adjustment of work and school settings. Despite the changes made to cater to people's mental states of being, it is still quite common for people to mislabel burnout as laziness. Burnout is a total sense of exhaustion felt mentally, emotionally, and physically. Burnout is caused by continued and excessive amounts of stress. This leads to an extreme difficulty in motivating oneself, resulting in low productivity. This may be one of the main factors where burnout and laziness overlap. While laziness and burnout may seem similar on the outside, it is essential to know the difference of the two to address these appropriately. Here are some signs that can help you differentiate if what you are feeling is in fact burnout or a wave of laziness. Burnout is a bone-tired, soul-tired, heart-tired kind of expression. The World Health Organization states that approximately 625 million people suffer or burned out each year due to jobs, and this results in the loss of $1 trillion on productivity each year. Burnout versus lazy. Burnout person used to have things they were passionate about, but may be struggling to find interest or enjoyment in anymore. This could be sports, talent, academic, or professional. Burnout makes it hard for you to do the things you once loved and had passion for. You might come to hate or resent it because of how hard you overworked yourself and pushed yourself to the brink because of it. Phases of burnout. Burnout doesn't happen overnight. It takes place gradually without you noticing it. Here is a list of 5 phases of you are burning out. Feel-good phase. When you take up something new, you feel excited and energetic. The onset of stress. Timely you get stressed and the days become difficult going. Chronic stress. Stress starts taking up all time in your mind and daily routine. Burnout. 4th stage is the indicator of clear burnout. You will see all these signs in yourself. Habitual burnout. It becomes your habit to procrastinate on things and tasks. If you checked off all 5 boxes, then it could be a clear indicator of burnout. So here are signs that you are burnout, not lazy. 1. You feel overwhelmed by day-to-day activities. To-do lists can be stressful, and it's totally human to feel overwhelmed by the day ahead of you. One of the reasons you might be experiencing stress is because you're doing too much at the same time. Multitasking might sound productive in theory, but research shows that it actually can decrease our productivity because of the switching cost we endure by ping-ponging between tasks. Adding too much to our plates and the stress that comes along with juggling a lot at the same time is a sign that you might be experiencing burnout. 2. There is such a thing as good stress, but burnout has a lot to do with unrelenting stress, and recognizing when you haven't had time to take a step back is key to curbing burnout. What you can do: try taking on one thing at a time. Sandwich those tasks with ones that take up less energy. And if you need to take breaks, that's okay. Different to-do list hacks can help ease some pressure. 2. Lack of motivation. Things that may have once engaged your interest, or that you used to feel passionate about, no longer stimulate the same response. The main difference between burnout and laziness is that you didn't used to feel this way. Laziness may be a more habitual trait, but if you experience a loss of motivation, passion, or depersonalization when you used to feel exactly the opposite of these, then you may be experiencing burnout, not laziness. Pushing yourself at this point may even cause you to resent work that you once loved, making you apathetic towards things that you used to feel strongly about. 3. You become irritable and moody. If you go off on people easily or snap at people, or emotionally out of control nowadays, we're out of control and don't know why. Moodiness and irritability is overlooked symptoms and signs of burnout. If you have problems controlling your emotions when it's never been a problem for you, you may be experiencing burnout. Lazy people, on the other hand, is a contrast because they are laid back, unaffected by things. But sometimes people confuse laziness and burnout. You might not be lazy and still unaffected by things. Everything gets under your skin if the stresses of your job get to be too much, or if you turn irritable with your co-workers. Burnout might be the culprit. It can get worse. 2. Outright anger is another sign your job might be burning you out. 4. Negative approach and pessimistic. People who are drained off completely, who are burning out, show a clear sign of negative approach and pessimism. They have negative and demotivating self-talk. Imagine themselves failing and being crushed down. They make it a point that they never miss hating something the best way they could. So if you are continuously looking for the black and gloomy side, instead of working on positive things, then this is the total sign of burning out. The third burnout pillar is a sense of incompetence, a feeling that you just can't be effective. It leads to a lack of accomplishment and productivity. Sometimes that feeling seems to be a result of the other two tent poles of burnout: exhaustion and cynicism. Other times, all three come down on you at once. 5. You feel extremely tired. Research shows that insufficient sleep is a big factor when it comes to burnout. So taking steps to make sure you're getting enough ZZZS can really help you curb stress. But we get it. Diving into stress when your thoughts are at work or in a worry spiral isn't fun. What you can do, one thing you can do before you hit the hay, is create a healthy space for your relaxation. That might mean not doing work from the comfort of your bed, and making your room a sleep-only place with some comfortable blankets and essential oils. Diving into rituals before you sleep can also help your brain understand when it's time to snooze. 6. You don't feel like yourself. Again, the main difference between burnout and laziness is that these things were never a problem for you in the past. Burnout does not happen all at once. It is caused by a gradual buildup of stress which, when unaddressed, may lead to these symptoms. It is important to catch burnout early on, acknowledging how you feel and taking note of what might be causing you to feel this way. Pinpointing the root causes may help you figure out how you may address these things. It may sound much easier said than done. Seeking professional help may provide you better guidance. Recognizing burnout in its earlier stages may prevent you from developing stress-related health complications, anxiety, or depression. It's necessary to raise awareness for burnout rather than dismissing it or invalidating a person's experience by simply calling it laziness. Of course, this should not be used as an excuse to get out of things either by doing the opposite and covering up laziness by calling it burnout. It is still important to have dreams and goals to aspire to, but occasionally the best move forward is to take a step back and give yourself a chance to regroup. Sometimes the most productive thing that you can do is to take a break. 7. If you're a working professional, you're no longer close with your coworkers. Most people who work become friendly with their coworkers due to proximity and a common interest. It's widespread to go out for lunch or drinks after work for coworkers who get along. However, if you're burned out, your relationship with your coworkers can start to deteriorate. You'll find you're not going out with your coworkers or socializing with them as often. A big reason for this is that they remind you of what is making you burned out. Coworkers can also cause you to feel responsible for their mistakes or try to add to your workload. Coworkers and superiors can also cause stressors for people with microaggressive behaviors, discrimination in the workplace, gossip and drama, and salary and vacation time disparities. Personal relationships can also become tarnished due to burnout. Your loved ones and friends may start to dread talking to you because you might complain about your job frequently if you're burned out. 8. You start ignoring self-care. People experiencing burnout may seek refuge in self-destructing coping mechanisms such as drugs, alcohol, smoking, overeating, sleeping too much, or not sleeping at all. Burnout puts huge amounts of mental strain, which forces people to rely on escaping methods such as sleeping pills and reckless drinking at the end of the day. Others become dependent on high caffeine intake to get some sort of work done. 9. Procrastination becomes your best friend. Procrastination is like a credit card. It's a lot of fun until you get the bill. Burned out people always love to hang out with procrastination. If you would have been lazy, procrastination would show its face rarely. But in the case of burning out, it would greet you at the start of the morning, with you feeling completely down and depressed. 10. Reduced productivity. This could manifest as unwillingness to communicate with colleagues, delays in completing important tasks, lack of interest in continuing education and improving skills, working on other projects during work time, and feeling lost or disconnected in meetings. What to do when you feel burnout? Like many ails, burnout requires recognizing the problem to devise solutions. Unfortunately, it's not uncommon for employees to keep pushing more work, longer hours, less recognition until they can no longer function. A person experiencing burnout needs to connect to their meaning and purpose in the work that they do. Dr. MacLean says, people need to identify their values and use those values to guide their decisions and actions. Unclear how to get started? Dr. MacLean recommends taking these 5 steps. 1. Ask for help. Instead of pushing through burnout, talk with your supervisor and coworkers and explain where you need support. Maybe a colleague can pick up a project you haven't started yet, or maybe you can devise a more manageable work schedule. No matter what you're struggling with, you're not likely to get the support you need if you don't ask for it. 2. Say no. You don't have to say yes to everything your boss wants to put on your plate. Be strategic about what you say yes to and don't beat yourself up when no feels like the better answer for your health and well-being. 3. Decompress. Take a time out to develop coping strategies that help you decompress, both while you're on the job and during your off time. 4. Practice self-care. Think about what makes you feel rested and relaxed and do more of it. Most important, give yourself grace. Demonstrate self-compassion, particularly when you're having a tough day. And practice gratitude so your mind is primed to focus on silver linings. 5. Prioritize relationships. If you do nothing else, find time to nurture your personal connections. At the end of the day, it's really about prioritizing your people. Dr. MacLean says, your family, friends, and coworkers can help you feel more connected to your values and offer you an opportunity to breathe and reset. They'll also be there to support you during difficult times.